Today on the channel we're going to take a look at 6 particular guitars in my collection that I really like, but for some reason I never play. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you 6 guitars in my collection that I really like, but for some reason I almost never play them. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, you know, that seems like a really lame problem to have, that I wish I had 1 guitar or 2 guitars. And this is by no means a video to flex or brag or boast about guitars. I just thought it'd be a fun video to show you some guitars in my collection that just don't get a lot of love. And you know, I've spent most of my adult life buying guitars, buying, selling, trading. It's been an obsession of mine. I truly love guitars and playing guitar. And for those of you that have been following my channel for a long time, it's probably pretty obvious, right? So when you're my age, which I won't reveal, but I'm pretty old, and you spend most of your life from your teenage years on up spending money on guitars and equipment and being obsessed with it and playing in bands and traveling and teaching and recording. And I live in Nashville too, so when you're in Nashville and you've been in Nashville as long as I have, I'm almost a unicorn. I'm almost a native here in Nashville. You used to be able to buy tons of stuff at pawn shops really cheap, and we used to have a lot of really cool music shops that you could go buy stuff. And it just started at an early age, living in the city, and you know, my love of guitars and music and everything with my career just has developed into what it is. So anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at 6 guitars in my collection that I really like, but I seldom or if ever play them. And by the way, these are not for sale because I love them. I just don't play them. So let's take a look at them. Cool. Okay, so guitar number 1 on the docket is this Warmoth Super Strat, okay? This guitar was a purchase I made several years ago on eBay, probably around 2019. I paid maybe $550 for this guitar, so the price was really good. This is a body that Warmoth painted, and it's lacquered. I think it's lacquer. Feels like lacquer. It might be poly, but anyway, it's got a really nice quilt finish on it. It's, you know, burst, and it's got a Floyd Rose 1000. This is a Duncan designed pickup. It did have a JB, a Seymour Duncan JB, but I took the Seymour Duncan JB out of it because I used it in something else. As you can see, this guitar has got lots of dust on it, right? This is not a Warmoth neck. This is a Mighty Mite neck. At first I thought it was a Warmoth neck, but it's a Mighty Mite neck. And standard locking nut. It's got Grover tuners on it, little Grover tuners. And it feels great. The guitar is super heavy. One thing that kind of draws me away from playing this guitar is, I've never weighed it, but this guitar, I don't know what it's made out of, but it is freaking heavy. This guitar has got to be 11 pounds, 10 or 11 pounds. It's super heavy, but that doesn't really distract me. But you know, I guess the main reason I don't play it is I've got quite a few Super Strats, and the neck on this, it feels all right, but the fretboard on it, the maple fretboard on it, just doesn't feel as good as some of my other guitars that I have. And the guitar always needs to be set up. This guitar doesn't stay set up well for very long. The action on this thing is extremely high right now, and I've set this guitar up a lot, so I don't know, you know, maybe from not being played a lot, and maybe I should have it humidified better. But this is it's a cool guitar. The neck plate that came on it actually was, it said Charvel. It had a Charvel neck plate, and it said EVH on it, which is cool. I've still got that neck plate. The reason I took the pickup out was to use it on a different guitar. I took the neck plate off of it because at one point I had this guitar for sale, and I didn't want to sell that neck plate, and I obviously didn't want to sell that pickup with it. But now I thinking about keeping it. You know, I may sell this. If I did sell it, I'd probably want about $550 to $650 for it. The volume knob is really firm. Like this is like, it takes everything. It's not stuck, but it's always been really hard to twist and turn. So I'd put like a low resistance pot in here, like from EVH. I've been thinking about playing this more, setting it up better, but it's a beautiful body. I wish the green wasn't so dark. The green is not, wish it was lighter because it's got a really nice quilt. I kind of feel like Warmoth painted this thing too dark. It really should have been like a lighter color. So yeah, anyway, that's guitar number one, this Warmoth that I bought off eBay. I like it a lot. It collects dust. Let's move on to guitar number two. Okay, so for guitar number two, we've got this. This is what I call my super telecaster, okay? This is a Warmoth telecaster body that's got double binding on it. And I bought this telecaster body without any pickups in it or any pots or switches. The only thing that it came with was the plate and the ferrules, okay? I had to buy a bridge for this, and I had to buy, you know, the pots and the knobs, everything for it, but I bought this body used on eBay around 2018, and I paid $325 for this body. It's a really nice body. It's not not a heavily figured body, but it was painted by Warmoth. I'm sure it looks like a professional paint job, but it's got dust on it as well. And I bought this neck. This is an unbranded neck. It's not a Warmoth neck, but it looks like a flame maple neck. It's unbranded. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't take rope and take a wood burner and make it look flame. This is probably one of those Chinese necks that is made to look like a flame maple neck, but I don't know. It doesn't feel bad at all. There's no neck sprout. There were no high frets. I paid maybe $125 for this neck around 2018, 2019, and I put some unbranded locking tuners on the headstock. This is a bare knuckle Holy Diver, and that's a bare knuckle VH2 neck pickup. So it's got bare knuckles in it. The guitar sounds tremendous. It's set up awesome. Anytime I plug this in, I love it, and I think to myself, gosh, I gotta record with this. When I first built it, I played it a lot. I fell in love with it, but I kind of moved on and started doing different things with other guitar builds, and I made, gosh, in about 4 years, I made about 45 guitars out of kits, and I think this one just kind of fell to the wayside, and since then I've bought some other guitars, and it's just become sort of a guitar I really like. I just never play it, but I should. I love the fact that the three-way switch goes neck and bridge like this, way that it's set up, and just standard volume tone. They're not push-pulls. So my Super Telecaster, Warmoth. This video is making me want to play these guitars, so that's a good thing. Maybe they'll get back in rotation after this. Okay, so let's take a look at guitar number three. All right, so for guitar number three, we've got my Fender Noventa. Noventa means 90 in Spanish, and this has one P90, obviously, and a volume and a tone control. I fell in love with the Noventa guitars when I was at Casino Guitars, and I was hanging out with Baxter and at Casino Guitars. Great guys, man. I love those dudes. Really cool. Always cool to go down there and hang with them. But Baxter and I were talking about this Noventa, and they had just come out. I want to say it was probably around, I don't know, it was probably like 2021 maybe. When I saw this 2020, 2021, they had a pinkish colored one. It was sort of like a watermelon colored one, and I fell in love with it at Casino, and they were like $8.99 or $8.50, something like that at the time, and I loved it. And I love P90s, right? And I couldn't get my mind off of that guitar. I couldn't get my mind off of it. You know, and about 8 months went by to a year, and then I wound up buying this Noventa from Eastside Music Supply in Nashville. I think I got it for around $700. I really liked the fact that it was this vintagey you know, brownish cream color. I think it looks just really cool with the black pick guard and the black P90. This guitar was set up killer at Eastside Music Supply. They dressed the frets on it, and the frets are so good, and the neck is so amazing on this guitar, and the P90 sounds killer. But you know, I've got quite a few Telecasters, and this is sort of a limiting guitar. I mean, it's got one P90, and you can do a lot with it, but then again, you can't do a lot of things with it also. And it's just a little bright, and when I do sessions or side gigs, a lot of times the guitars that get my love are the ones that can do more things. I can get a lot of tonal options out of them, and sometimes this doesn't cut the mustard because it's a little bit limiting as far as what you can do, but man, it does what it does so good. I love this guitar. I really should play this guitar a lot more than I do. I almost never play it anymore, but I love the way that it looks. I think it's super sexy, and it plays and sounds fantastic. I don't think these guitars are very popular, but maybe one day these be worth some money. I think they'll hold value, but it's kind of an odd duck for a Fender, but it's cool. Hopefully this will focus in on this, but I would recommend getting a Noventa if you're a P90 guy or you like kind of wacky, cool Telecasters. This is a beast, man. It can cover a lot of ground for country, rock, rockabilly. I don't think you could do really metal on this. You probably could if you had a noise gate with a lot of gain, but this is a great guitar. I really want to start playing this again now. All right, let's move on to guitar number 4. Okay, for guitar number 4, I've got my Tom DeLonge Strat. This is an OG Tom DeLonge Stratocaster from the early 2000s. It's a Mexican Strat, and I bought this on eBay a long time ago. I bought this around 2008, and I want to say I paid $575, $580 for this, somewhere high 500s, okay? And I think $60 to ship it. So I got a good deal on this. These things, I don't know if the value of these things are still as high as they were, but man, a couple of years ago, these things were going for like $2,000, $2,500, insane prices. And, you know, everyone wanted the original Tom DeLonge Strat. Now that they've got the Tom DeLonge reissues that are just like this out, and now the Starcasters, which are really cool. I'm not sure if that's hurt the value of these. I really don't care. I mean, it's not for sale, and I don't plan on ever selling this guitar, but I don't play it. It's got, much like the Noventa that we just talked about, it's a single pickup guitar, which is fine, but this has an invader, where the Noventa had a P90, which is kind of bright and twangy. Invaders are really, really super hot, and I like pickups that are kind of underwound. I like Burstbucker 1s, 2s, Burstbucker 3s. They're a little on the hot side, but I like Burstbucker 3s too. This is a little hot for me, so but it's great. This guitar plays awesome. I've never really had to set this guitar up much. It's like a rock. It's got a little ding on the back of it right here that came with it when I bought it. It came from a pawn shop, actually the seller on eBay, and it's all original. The pick guard is has discolored a little bit over the years. I think that was kind of like that when I got it. I like this vintage looking headstock on it. It's got these old vintage looking tuners. I love this surf green. The one way you can tell that it's a real, you know, the old Tom DeLonge Strat said Tom DeLonge. I've got the Mark Hoppus bass that is the sister to this that says Mark Hoppus on the bass, and it's the same color. So it's kind of neat that Fender came out with 2 models for Blink-182 when they came out with these. This was right around the era of the self-titled album with Miss You on it and Feeling This. I'm a huge Blink-182 fan. Those that follow my channel may not be aware of that, but I adore Blink-182. I love them. You know, I listen to them all the time, and their new album is fantastic. And I'm pretty psyched because as of filming of this album, or the filming of this video, they just released some new songs off of One More Time, like a extended version, and I'm digging those tunes that I'm hearing. So anyways, there's a little bit of a crack here too. This was always there. It's got a little bit of a stress crack on here. I don't know if that's from a fall or if that's from the finish from the poly when this was put on. Maybe it was put on a little bit too tight. It's a great sounding guitar. Cool. All right, so that's guitar number 4. So let's take a look at what guitar number 5 is. Okay, so here's guitar number 5. This is a 2018 Gibson Flying V. Okay, it's a real Gibson. And I bought this thing really because, well, 2 reasons. I didn't have a V, never owned a V, but it was on sale. It was on clearance. It was at Guitar Center, and it was early 2019, and they had these 2018 models on clearance for $900. And I saw it and I said, here's my gear card. I took it. So, which was a great investment. I mean, I could sell it obviously more than $900 now. And listen, I mean, this guitar sounds fantastic. V's are really hard to play. So one reason I don't play them is you can't really sit down with them. I wish they still put the kickstands on them back from the day, or just put the rubber piece back on here. I don't like playing guitars like this, but this is a really nice sounding V. It's got, well, you can see the dust on it. I mean, it's a crying shame, man, that it collects so much dust. And it's a wall hanger. And I did play it a lot when I first got it. I mean, I can see my body arm marks on it and stuff, but you know, it sounds good, it tracks good, intonates well, and I like the color. I'm colorblind. I can see colors, but some people don't realize that if you're colorblind, depending on the severity of it, you can see colors. And I can see that this is antique red. But when I was in Guitar Center, I thought this guitar was black, right? Because it's so dark. And I got it home. I didn't realize it for like a week. And I showed it to somebody. I said, look at my black V. I had it hanging up on the wall. And they said, that's not black, that's red. And I was like, I'll be damned. So, you know, when you put the light up next to it, you can actually see the grain of the wood in there. And, you know, they call it antique red from what I understand. And it's great, man. This is a really nice guitar. I've got one other V that I bought over a year ago that's natural, that you've seen on the channel if you follow my channel, that I do play that one quite regularly because I like the wood grain of that one. I think it's cool. It's funny how a color of a guitar can make you choose one over another if they both sound great. Anyway, that's me anyway. So I need to start playing this more. This thing is wicked, and the fret access on a V is fantastic. They're really aggressive playing and visually aggressive too. So my 2018 Flying V that I got on clearance for $900 at the early part of 2019. I love this guitar. I really need to play it. So let's move on to the last one, guitar number 6. I think you'll be surprised. Okay, so guitar number 6, the last guitar in the video, surprise, surprise, is the Les Paul. As many of you know, I'm a Les Paul guy. Les Pauls are my favorite guitars of all time. A close second is a Telecaster, but Les Paul, I love them. This is a 2020 60s model, and this guitar is phenomenal, and it looks beautiful. But it is a dusty girl. It's very embarrassing. I'm starting to get embarrassed in this video because of the dust. And I don't neglect them. They just, you know, they get dusty, man. Like I said, there's some guitars I don't play. I've got quite a decent Les Paul collection, okay? I'm not like Bonamassa or anything even close to that, but I've got a few Les Pauls, and this one I bought again, I bought this one at Guitar Center, okay? Just ironically, I don't buy all my guitars from Guitar Center, but you know, they have a lot of good options, and I found this early 2020, right before COVID in 2020, and you know, before everything shut down. And Gibson at the time, standards, they had reduced their prices on standards down to $24.99, I want to say. and Guitar Center was running a sale where I could get this 10% off. So I wound up getting this thing around $2,200 brand new with a hard shell case. And I had just got my tax return, which is pretty good. So, you know, annually, a lot of times what I do with my tax return is I'll buy a nice guitar with my tax return. That's where a lot of my guitars come from, is my tax money, right? That's sort of like I'm going to buy a great guitar money check that comes in. And not being married, and I'm an empty nester now. My kids are out of the house. I have a little bit of, I can do what I want to with my tax returns, you know, unless I've got home repairs or something I've got to do that are a priority. But, you know, who focuses on priorities when there's guitars to buy, right? The plastic is still on the back of this thing, right? So this is all stock. It's all original. I love the fact that this was sort of like an unburst. It was a kind of a lemon burst. It looked really, really cool. I guess they did call this the unburst on the paperwork. And the fretboard is very dark. It needs a little bit of lemon oil. It sounds phenomenal. I can't remember the pickups they put in this. There's some kind of 60s pickups that they put in this particular model. It eludes me at the moment. Not important. But you know, it's got the Grover tuners. I opted over the 50s model. I could have got the 50s model that had just come out also, but I liked the look of this. This guitar was so beautiful, and this was the only one they had in the store. And the look of it sold me on it. Plus, it sounded phenomenal, and I like the Grover tuners. I opted for those over the vintage style tuners. At the time, I like that better. Now it doesn't really matter to me. I like vintage style tuners just as much. But this is one of the more attractive, might be the most attractive 60s model I've seen. They really did a fantastic job on these guitars. This is an early run. It did have a pick guard. I've got the pick guard in the case, by the way. It had a pick guard, but the top was so pretty. I just took the pick guard off of it. But I did save it. But I wanted to see the whole top, so it does not have the guard on it. The guitar is very heavy. I've never weighed it. But I would say this guitar is at least 9.5, 10 pounds. She's a hefty girl as well. Now I want to play this one. So there you go. There are 6 of my guitars that I love that I rarely play. Hope you enjoyed the video. Which guitar out of all 6 of these do you think is your favorite? And do you have any guitars that you have that you love that don't play? Put those in the comments below. Hope you like this kind of content. Please subscribe, comment below. As always, it helps me out a whole lot. I appreciate the support. And until next time, have a great day. Peace out.